these endearing names, and I was always like, oh, that's nice. That's always sweet. And they knew who my name was because they would actually call me. So it wasn't like I ever felt like, oh, she doesn't know who I am. They knew who I was, and they would say it. Yeah, it was a respect thing. And what, like, a couple of them were always like, you would be such a great son and all that. I'm like, man, I love these. These older women really know how to stroke my ego with this middle-aged sugar. I love it.
You'd be such a great son. Here, let me breastfeed you. Let me take you for a test run. Let's see how this feels.
Exactly.
I think in this particular situation, I think the things they're being called are not they're inoffensive, like sweetie and stuff. I don't think they're passive-aggressive terms. I think it purely comes down to the tone they're being said in. Like, if the person's just saying, oh, thanks, sweetie, for doing that, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Whereas if they're saying it like, thanks, sweetie, thanks for doing that. Yep. I think it all comes down to the tone of how it's being said. And obviously it's lost on the question because they can't put the tone in there. So it's hard to tell. But I'm guessing it must be a tone thing as opposed to what's actually what they're being called.
Yeah, it can be either patronizing or like endearing. And there is that fine line, and you have to decipher what it is based on the situation.
I feel like depending on your own age. So this person says she's 17. I feel like that's another big factor in this question. When I was 23, 24, even up to this age, I'm okay with it. But if I was 17, I'd be like, no, I'm a man now. Like, I want to be recognized for who I am. Like, I feel like there's an age where you want to be recognized for who you are, like your age.
Or older,
like I'm older, I'm a person, I'm this and that. But eventually you're like, yeah, I'm okay with it.
Serious question, Marcus.
Yeah.
At 17, did you actually feel like a man? I'm not trying to take the piss here.
Did I feel like at 17
that's what you just said.
did. Yeah, I know. I know, but I'm trying to be her. Like, I didn't want to say I'm a 17-year-old woman because you guys would just rip me on that one too.
Okay, you said it.
No shame in that.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, did I feel like a man? I felt like I was closer to a man than I was a boy.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So, to answer your question, was I a man? Was I a boy? Well, I was more of a man than I was a boy.
Do you know what sums it up perfectly? Yeah. I think Brittany said it best when she said, "I'm not a." What did she say? I'm not a girl. No,
not yet a woman.
Lyrics.
That's
not
it.
yet a woman. That's how you felt at 17. I'm not a boy, not yet a man.
Exactly.
Damien,
exactly.
If you're going to quote Brittany, quote it right, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Do it justice. So what do we say to this person here, to Biker Mice from Mars? Deal with it?
I want to say it's okay. I mean, older people, especially depending on this older person's age, they might not remember your name, which you might take offense, and that's why they say it. But don't take it too offensively. I think it's naturally what people do. They call you by the names, and by you calling her out and saying, "Hey, call me my real name," which is Brittany, bitch. You can't. You're going to come off as an absolute prick of a person. They're just being nice. I feel like it. Like Damien said, it's all about tone. We don't know the tone, but I'm assuming the tone is nice and friendly. Okay. I feel like just take it as something nice. Take it as that middle-aged sugar, as we all said before.
All right. I think that's fair enough. Let's leave it there for Biker Mice from Mars. Damien, do you want to go next?
Sure. That sounds good. This is going to come from Rugrats.
Oh, yeah. I will say I've got like such fond memories of Rugrats. Once the start of that show, when it's got like the drum roll and then the nappy falls on and that cute little tone, the song comes on, it just fills me with glee.
Have you watched it recently, Tom or Damien?
I have not watched it recently, but I do feel like I see it come up a lot about like the dad from Rugrats being like super depressed, and that kind of killed my my perspective of it. Also, apparently there's like some sort of theory that they're all dead and imagined by and what's her name? Angelica. I've heard that theory as well. So I don't know. I don't really want to revisit it with that sort of in my mind.
Sometimes it's best to leave things in the past. So this is going to come from Rugrats, and there's this particular reason why. You know, the characters Phil and Lil, they are twins.
Yep. Yes.
And I will continue to read. Rugrats writes in, did my dose of double trouble go too far? I am 31 and have an identical twin brother. For a while, I've told my wife that none of her family care about me, but she disagrees. So I had a wager with my wife. Bring my twin brother Steve instead of me to Christmas Eve dinner and see if anyone notices. I purposely did not prep Steve on anything, but he knew why we were doing it and he was game. I also gave him $20. As I suspected, Steve confirmed he wasn't approached by my wife's family all night and that nobody could tell he wasn't me. So on Christmas morning, I invited Steve and revealed to her whole family that last night I was Steve and expressed disappointment that nobody noticed. My wife drew the line here. She was hoping hoping we would keep this between the two of us as a funny prank. But how can I expect her family to see what jerks they've been if I don't expose it? For anyone wondering, Steve is fine. Rugrats.
Steve's fine. That's good.
Sorry, I cracked out laughing during you reading that question simply because I was like, Steve was down. He was down to find out for me. Also, I gave him $20. Like that was like just that little bit of incentive. Like
Sweeten the deal.
That's why that's the only reason why Steve did it for $20. Like don't kid yourself. He didn't care about you. I love this question.
I mean, he has to dedicate a whole night to being his brother. So I think $20 is the least his brother could do for him.
Yeah, exactly.
This is sort of like the dream sort of scenario that you concoct, I'm assuming, when you are a twin. Like, we could switch and we could be one another, or you could sort of go undercover and we wouldn't know. So much to the point that one year on Australian Big Brother, they did it with the Logan twins, and they sent them into the Big Brother house as one person, which is a great concept. The only thing that sort of fell apart was apparently, like, they did sort of look slightly different, and people sort of started to pick up on it. And then I think what happened was one of them injured their arm or something like that, and had to got bandaged up, or had a wound on their arm, and they had to keep making sure that the boys had to meet somewhere and switch everything over. And I think that sort of hurts the process.
Yeah,
they mess with the plan.
Yeah,
I think in this situation as well, speaking of TV twin shows, it's a common trope, right? I think the problem where this guy's plan failed is that he treated it like a TV show. Like, he set up the dramatic reveal to the family to be like, that wasn't me last night, it was my brother Steve. And he expected everybody to learn a lesson from that, when that's not how life works.
Yeah,
I think he was better off. The plan worked, and he proved his point to his wife. So he could have just left it there, and his point would have been made. But instead, he had to go out with the theatrics, and he did it on Christmas Day.
Yeah,
right.
I feel like there's a lot of things at play here, and you're right. Like, firstly, he should have just done it for his wife and himself, and that's it. Not for a prank, but just to prove a point that they don't care about him. And secondly, on Christmas Day, that's shit. But I would have loved it if they said, "Oh, that's why you were so entertaining last night." If the family just twist, and that would have just been like a knife in his bag. Like, they twisted his it's like, yeah, you're boring. We don't like you. Bring back Steve.
What I love most is that this is how he decided to spend his Christmas as well. Like, Christmas comes but once a year. I mean, and he's like, this is my plan.
Yeah, it's like, even in World War One, they had a truce on Christmas Day, whereas this guy is starting World War Three on Christmas Day. Like, surely he could have waited a week.
He's like, because it's the least expected day. Who's going to prank someone on Christmas? No, me, Rugrats.
The funny thing is, now, if they didn't hate him before, they definitely hate him now for giving them that gift on Christmas Day.
Yeah, the gift of Christmas jerk.
Would you guys be offended in this scenario though? Like, if you were the family, not the twin. I think as a twin, I would be offended still. But as the family, you're like, yeah, it was my twin brother Steve. It's like, cool. I didn't care last night who you were. I don't care now who you are. It's like, I feel like as a family, I'd be like, all right, like, I don't feel offended that you did it. Just it proved your point, and yeah, we can move on.
I think the most reason you would be offended is because of the fact that, you're like, why would you do this on Christmas? Like, it's supposed to be, we're spending Christmas with our loved ones. We're supposed to be, it's that time of giving and stuff like that. And you've just given us some sort of it's the equivalent of a coal-filled stocking in the form of Steve, but he happens to be a good time as well. So
yeah, we don't know if Steve's a good time.
Well, it's true.
No, he could be. I agree with Tom though, that essentially, instead of spending a nice day with Christmas together, the guy has ruined it, and you'd be like this is our life. This isn't the parent-in-law trap. This is not some fun rom-com starring Lindsay Lohan. You know what I mean? This is our life. There are ramifications for doing this. Now we don't trust you. We don't trust our daughter or our cousin or whoever they are to that family. So they've kind of just made it so, he's made it so hard for him and his wife now.
Yeah.
That's a very good point, Damien. And it sort of further cements the idea that things in movies are not exactly how things should be executed in real life. And I think people have that sort of romanticized idea of situations of how it would go because of how cinema has been presenting it to us. And in reality, no. It's people either end up seeing you as a jerk, or you're rude, or you're insensitive. Those are the real sort of consequences of playing something like this out.
100%.
Yeah. If you guys had a twin and they asked you to do this for them, to go undercover, would you do as Steve did and do it?
For $20, yeah, sure. Yeah, 100%. No, I would, because I feel like as a twin, I feel like twins are a little bit like different, because we don't have that second person that we're used to growing up with, doing everything together, sharing whatever it is. So I feel like as a twin, you'd be like more inclined to, yeah, all right, I'll do it. Fuck it, I don't care.
I think that it's probably not going to be as successful as you think, because if you think about switching with a twin, right, to find out what they think of the other person, the people that you're with should obviously also know the fact that you are brothers, you are twins, you're very close, and how would they think that it wouldn't come back to the other twin? You know, how would they feel if I was to just say, go with my swap places with my twin brother, find out what my friends actually think about me, thinking they're talking to my twin? I don't think it'll be as successful as you think, because they'll be like, dude, you guys are brothers.
Yeah,
that's true. I also think maybe this is more a reflection on myself. If I had a twin, I don't think I would trust them going undercover for me. Like, maybe they would intentionally mess with my relation as a joke, like say dumb things to make me seem like an idiot, just because it's funny. Like they might go too method, right? And be like, in order to inhabit your character, I also had to inhabit your wife, just so I could really get on your mindset. You know what I mean? Who knows how far Steve took it? We don't know.
Hold on, Damien. This is your mindset, 100%, because you said you would go into it. So if you were the twin going into being the imposter, you would be like, I'm going to sleep with your wife now. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. You're calling yourself out there, Damien.
I mean, that was more for comic effect, the whole wife sleeping, but I would mess with my twin definitely and start saying off the wall stuff just to freak people out.
Do you think if either of you boys were twins, do you think you or your twin, but based on the personality that you have, would you be the twin that would sort of rebel and try to be your own person and go a completely different way? Or would you be the one to stand your ground and be like, no, I am my person? Because I feel like there's always that possibility that one of them's going to go like, oh yeah, he went a very different path. He got into like mixed up with the wrong crowd because he wanted to prove himself as a different person.
I think I would be the slacker twin in that I would rely on my other twin to basically lay the blueprint for my life. You know what I mean? Because they look the same. So when they get up in the morning and they put an outfit on, I'll be like, hey, that looks good on you, which means it'll look good on me. I know my outfit now. I would just be living my life that way.
I'd be the opposite. I'd be like, no, I'm doing my own thing. I want to be my own person. I want to be my own I've got two older brothers and I've always wanted to be my own person. Like, not that I don't look up to them or anything like that, but I'm always like, well, they do their thing, I'll do my thing. So being a twin, my twin does their thing, I'll do my thing.
I will say the fact that you boys are both the youngest of two older brothers, you both do have your own sort of personas compared to, as far as what I know about your brothers, you all do seem different. So you could almost compare the situation of being a twin to being in the situation you guys are in.
Yeah, I think so.
It's true, especially because my two older brothers are mistaken for twins all the time. So, yeah.
So this person here, what do you think is the consequences of this scenario?
I think he owes everybody an apology. He owes his wife's family, his wife, and especially Steve. He has deserved an apology for being thrown in the middle of this. Like, he had to do that awkward reveal and, like, come out. Imagine being that twin. He'd be like, you paid me $20 for last night. I didn't know there was a follow-up performance the next day.
Right. Yeah, I think you're going to give him a bit more money and an apology. I think both.
I like to think that Steve is enough of a simp that the $20 was enough, and he's just content that he's gone down to Grill and he's bought himself a Simon Says, a chips and a Coke, and he's happy with that. He's fine. That's
not even going to get you all of that, Tom. I don't know if you know this or not, but Grill's a hell of a lot more than that.
It wouldn't get you a combo, would it?
Nah.
Either that or Steve is like a struggling actor and will take any gig. So now you're going to see on his IMDb page, The Parent-in-Law Trap 2020 with like no other credits.
Yeah. He says, in 2020, I played the role of Rugrat for dinner on Christmas. Okay, let me reprise my role.
It was a paid job.
It's all right. Yeah, I'm going to claim it on tax. Don't worry, I'll claim it. Anything else to say about Rugrat?
Nope. Nah.
Let's leave it there for Rugrat. I am going to go next with this one, and sort of a similar theme to Marcus as far as an animal with an occupation in a certain country. This is going to come from Samurai Pizza Cats.
Classic.
So these were cats that were also samurais, and they also served pizza. I think. Did they run a pizza shop out of their big samurai temple?
I mean, it was just a convoluted business. It was a convoluted business model. It was never going to work. There's too much going on.
I feel like a lot of the cartoon shows from the 80s and early 90s were just to sell toys, to sell like little figurines. It's like, what cool little figurine can we create and then make a TV show of?
What I loved about this show is they were fired out of a cannon. I think that's how they like went on their missions. They're like, all right, time to go. And they'll blast it out of a cannon out of their temple.
On that whole merchandise thing, Marcus, I think pretty sure you're right, because my brothers were around at the peak of like Ninja Turtles and Samurai Pizza Cats, and they actually sold Samurai Pizza Cat themed and Ninja Turtle themed pizzas at the supermarkets. So I think they just threw in like a random food just to